statistically, there's only 6% women of color that are in leadership positions in the industry, which is pretty isolating. It's different for me to speak with. I have great mentors who are men, and some even men of color. It's so specific to being a woman that's like there's very few people that I can talk to. So that's a challenge.
Welcome to Dishin Up Diaspora, where we explore how food connects us to culture, history, and each other. I'm your host, Chef Emmy, and this episode is sponsored by Taste Bahia, a transformative 6-day culinary journey through Salvador, Bahia. Experience Afro-Brazilian culture and cuisine through hands-on cooking workshops, visits to historic sites, and vibrant local markets. This is more than just a tour. It's a deep dive into the heart of Bahia, where food, people, and traditions come together. To learn more and book your spot, visit chefemmy.com/taste-bahia. That's chefemmy.com/taste-BAHIA. And I want to take a moment to welcome back those of you who have been tuning in every week. I really appreciate you all. And for those who are newbies and this is your first episode tuning in, welcome. Please be sure that you are subscribing to this podcast wherever it is that you're listening to, on Apple, on Spotify. And also, if you can leave me an honest review, I really, really would appreciate it. Your support is really going to help this podcast grow. And make sure that you are following us on Instagram at Dishin Up Diaspora Podcast, and follow me as well at ChefEmmy_. I'm so excited to welcome Chef Fariyal Abdullahi, a force in the culinary world. Born in Ethiopia, Fariyal first pursued a psychology degree before finding her true calling in the kitchen, and it's very clear that that decision was meant to be. She worked at top kitchens like Noma and now leads the culinary team at Haven Mart in New York City. Her vibrant, story-driven cooking has earned her major accolades, including being named finalist for Jane Beard Awards. Beyond the kitchen, she is deeply committed to giving back. She co-leads a nonprofit that builds schools and provides access to clean water for families in rural Ethiopia. And you may also recognize her from her appearances on TV shows such as Chopped, Alex vs. America, and Beat Bobby Flay. Chef, welcome. I'm so excited to dive into your journey. Cannot wait. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm so happy to be here and chat with you.
Yes. Okay. So before we do dive in, I like to play a little game that I call Quick Dish. I'm going to say like 2 things, and you kind of just tell me which one speaks the most to you. Which one would you prefer? No right or wrong. Okay. Coffee or tea?
Tea.
Sweet or savory breakfast?
I do both.
I know. I always go to the restaurant if I'm like going for brunch or breakfast. I'm like, I want both. I want 2 plates of food.
You can do both, but okay. On my everyday breakfast, it's savory.
Okay, rice or injera?
Injera, come on.
Home cooked meal or takeout?
Always home cooked.
Berbere or garam masala?
Come on, berbere.
Spicy or mild?
Spicy.
Street food or fine dining?
Why are you doing this to me? Why are you doing this to me?
Both. It can be both.
Both.
There you go.
It's balance.
Exactly. Life is about balances. Thank you for indulging me in that. Okay, so let's start from the beginning. You were born and grew up in Ethiopia.
Yes.
How was that like?
I mean, it's where I spent the first 16 years of my life, and pretty much where my connection with food started, because I'm sure we'll talk about this more, but back home, I grew up in a way where I was only one step removed from my food source. And that informed so much of the way I cook today.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So who did the cooking back home?
My mom, and I know everybody says this, like their mom is the best cook, but I promise you, as a unbiased chef, I can honestly tell you my mom is so extremely talented.
I love that. And were you like helping in the kitchen like when you were growing up? Or
I was. So I'm the youngest of 6 siblings.
Wow.
And my mom cooked all of our meals. So breakfast, lunch, dinner, a family of 8. She
Yeah.
always made sure it was always like elaborate meals.
Mhm.
And I come from a really large extended family.
Mhm.
So just on my dad's side, I have 20 aunts and uncles.
Wow, yeah. That's
On my mom's
huge.
side, I have 6 aunts and uncles. And for because her food was so good, holidays, I just remember everybody coming over to our house. It was always
Mm.
so packed, and that was the main reason. Her food was just so good,
Yeah.
it brought everybody to my house.
Oh my gosh, I love that. And I love, this reminds me of why I'm doing this podcast. Every time I sit down with a chef or business owner,
Mhm.
we're so different. Our stories look like they're so different, but I always feel like I can relate to just like little pieces of stories that
Yeah.
they tell because when I grew up in Brazil, like that was my
Yes.
house too. And I mean, my parents only have 2 kids, but my
Yeah.
extended family was huge. I
Yeah.
also have like 20 something uncles and aunts on my dad's
Yeah.
side, and
Oh,
my mom's mom had 6 kids, so very similar to, and my mom was the chef of the family, and so everything also took place in our house. So just you speaking of that, like, kind of just like brought me back to my
yeah.
experience as well. And
That
that,
that's literally almost exactly parallel.
yeah,
That's
exactly.
that's so
I know.
amazing.
Yeah. Okay, so then at 16,
Mhm.
you where did you move to?
Los Angeles.
Los Angeles. Okay.
First.
And you were pursuing, then you then pursued a degree in psychology. And that's where you were
Yeah.
going to see yourself
Yeah.
become a child psychologist, I believe it was.
Clinical child psychology. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, that wasn't my first choice right out of the bat. I
Oh,
always knew when I left Ethiopia,
oh,
I really had a strong intuition that I
yeah.
wanted to be involved in food.
Mm,
But no one in my family was anywhere remotely near the industry.
yeah.
Um, and I remember telling my mom, but she had this dream of all of us being doctors.
Yes.
And of course, my siblings set out to make her proud. So we do
Mm-hmm.
have 4 physicians in the family,
Okay.
um, with 2 of my siblings being having their PhD or being physicians, and then they're also married to physicians.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just it's in the family.
Yeah.
And when I told my mom, she was like, cooking is more of a hobby, not a career.
Mm-hmm.
And I was always discouraged from pursuing that passion.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to make my mom proud.
Yeah.
So I did what any child would do that wanted to make their mom proud. It's like
Mm-hmm.
I'm Ethiopian, it's in
Yeah.
our blood. Like
Yes.
we need to make our parents proud. So I set out to also be a doctor. I had always been fascinated with like human behavior and how our mind works and functions.
Mm-hmm.
So I went that route and I got
Yeah.
my degree in clinical child psychology.
Yeah. Wow. Your story also reminds me, I had a guest here, Ephraim. He is Eritrean. But he also kind of had like pursued this, corporate world career, which, did not in the end make him happy or fulfilled, and ended up
Yeah.
kind of having this like transformative trip to back home. And he
Mhm.
came back and he now owns like Boom Boona Coffee, this coffee shop, and he, has,
Absolutely.
yeah. So it's amazing that you were eventually able to kind of find or not find your passion, because it seems like
Yeah.
you already knew that that was your passion, but be
Yeah.
able to finally pursue that.
Yeah.
That's
I'm sure you can speak to this yourself too.
mhm.
Like as first generation
Mhm.
immigrants, it's just embedded in us so much.
Yeah.
Like what your parents say is kind of
Yeah.
what you want to do, what you should do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And my parent, when we moved here, my parents did open up a Brazilian restaurant. So I did
Mm.
also, I felt that pressure, but I also felt the pressure to kind of like keep that legacy going. Although I did go to, attempted to go to college to get like a business degree, like a hospitality management degree, just to make it even like more official and more like accepted.
Yeah.
But yeah, totally feel that pressure. And I mean, Seattle has like a really large population of like Eritrean and Ethiopian community here. I grew up with, a
Know
lot of my
that.
friends are, yeah, a lot of
Oh,
my friends are
wow.
either Eritrean or Ethiopian. So
Yeah.
I definitely am familiar with like the culture and kind of like the family. And honestly, everybody always thinks I am too. Like
I was
they're
gonna
always like,
say.
Habasha. I'm like,
I was gonna
no.
say.
And
I
actually, a
was
lot of the
gonna say.
aunties and uncles, like in the streets,
Yeah.
think I'm lying when I say I'm not, and I'm like, I promise I'm not. And I'm like, I'm
That is so,
Brazilian,
yeah.
soccer, so
That is so funny. I swear. Like I love that because living in New York City, especially in Harlem, people
Uh-huh.
talk to me in Spanish all the
Oh, yeah,
time
I could
because
see
they
it.
think I'm Dominican.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not, I'm from Africa. And
Yeah,
to them, they're like, she's lying.
I know.
Like, you're not from Africa. I'm like, yeah.
Totally. I became like a member, honorary member of the community. I even
Yeah.
have like
Yeah.
my friends call me Saba. That's my that's my
That's your
Eritrean name.
Habesha name,
Yes, that's my
Saba.
Habesha name.
You know, that's what I have to call you from now on, right? You're not Emmy. Like, okay, Saba,
I
let's go.
know. Okay,
I love
well, I visited your website and something really like struck me, and I was like, I love this. I
mm,
saw that you have like I am Fariyal, creative philanthropist and chef, and like I just love that, and I love that you described yourself as a creative first
yeah,
because I feel like when people ask me like, oh, what do you do? Like, I always have felt like boxed in. I have to just have one answer, like I'm a chef,
right.
and then like not
Yeah,
having my own restaurant and not working in a restaurant, like now even when I say chef and they're like, oh,
yeah,
where do you work, I
yeah,
always feel very like self-conscious about that, but I've always
yeah,
like felt like I'm an artist, like I'm a
yeah,
creative, you know what I mean?
yeah,
So I love that you didn't box yourself in. Can you speak a
yeah.
little bit more to that, like why did you like define yourself as like a creative?
Yeah, because I feel the same way. I really hate being boxed in because
Mm-hmm.
if you leave, I'm a chef. Okay, well, that's what I do, right? That's
Yeah.
what I do to make money. But immediately, it's the first, like the questions that come as a response to that. It's like, oh, okay, so where do you work, or
Yeah.
what's your favorite thing to cook, or what do you specialize in?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm always like, I don't specialize in one thing. Like I'm just, it's not a one
Love that.
dimensional thing. I'm trying to learn every day,
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like I don't like being boxed in. I just want to make it as open and general as possible.
I love that.
Because creative can mean so many things. Like we could
Yeah.
do so many things with that.
Exactly, exactly. And
Yeah.
you are doing it, you lead this high profile kitchen, but you're also like on TV and you also
Yeah.
do like I follow you on Instagram and I see just like all the work that you do with like the nonprofit that you co-founded, but also with like
Yeah.
other, giving back. So
Yep.
yeah, that
Yep.
definitely makes sense. You are multifaceted. I want to go
Yeah.
back because
Yeah.
another part of your story really intrigues me. You traveled to 18 countries. What in the
That was
world? What
no.
whirlwind was that?
Yeah.
Tell me
So
about that.
18 countries that comes up. So my first stint of traveling I ever did
Mhm.
was after I applied to culinary school. Um, I had made that decision that I wasn't going to go to grad school. I'm going to go to culinary school, and just like the anxiety of
Mhm.
waiting to hear back what my fate was, because I only applied to one
Oh,
school, and
wow.
that was CIA, because it's regarded as one of the best culinary schools in America.
Mhm.
And I said, there's no bigger sign of me getting accepted into this school without having no prior background or experience. Um, so I sent in my application. I hadn't told anyone,
Mm.
but that waiting period was just is I was going to be anxious the entire time.
Yeah.
So I just decided to take off and travel. Um, and I went backpacking for 3 months. And in those 3 months, I hit 18 countries. I
Mm.
have since been to, I think my last count was 57 or
Wow.
58 countries.
Amazing.
Um, but yeah, the 18 countries was kind of my first
Yeah.
traveling stint as I was waiting to hear back about
Mhm.
getting accepted into culinary school.
Wow. And I want to know, like, when you travel, like, is food kind of like at the center of like your traveling? Like, how did how did you incorporate like food and stuff during your travels?
Yeah. So even like that first my backpacking trip was
Mhm.
pretty much centered around food.
Mm.
Because growing up in Ethiopia, our food is very specific because there's like so much spices, and that's both in terms of like flavor, but also heat
Mhm.
tolerance.
Mhm.
So my threshold was always really high. And then when I moved to America, I started college right away.
Mhm.
And where I would eat most of my food was on campus. And I just remember being so underwhelmed by the flavors or the lack
Yes.
of flavors I was eating here. And I'm like, this
Mhm.
this can't be it. This can't be all of it. Um and then then I started, because LA has such a huge Mexican population. I started eating Mexican food. I'm like, okay, wait, so
Hmm.
there is more. It's like my Ethiopian palate or this bland school that I'm
Yeah.
eating on campus. There's more.
Hmm.
Then there's Indian food. So that made me super curious as to what else I hadn't experienced
Hmm.
between growing up in Ethiopia and the
Hmm.
campus food that I was eating. So I just wanted to expose myself with many different cuisines and flavor profiles as I could.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's kind of what inspired the trip.
Mhm, mhm. That's amazing. What a great opportunity. And I can totally relate. I came
Yeah.
so in Brazil, like all my meals were at home and were home cooked either by my mom or my grandma. So like
Yeah.
coming here to Seattle, America, I guess in general,
Yeah.
and school food. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. I used to go hungry. Seriously. I used to like basically starve unless my parents
Yeah.
packed me a lunch, like I would really
Yeah.
starve until I would get home and be able to eat more
Yeah.
home cooked meals. So, yeah. It's
100%.
I
I always like, I'm not even exaggerating. Before Beyonce coined the term, I got hot sauce in my bag swag. I swear, when I was 16, I would have hot sauce in my bag
yeah.
because I was like, I can't eat this food without
Something.
some kind of something, please.
Yes, yes, that's so funny.
Yeah.
Okay, so being a Black woman leading a high profile kitchen is still really rare in this industry. What have been like the challenges, the joys of really like carving out this space in this world?
Um, the challenges, I would say it's still the same thing from when I first started cooking 13 years ago, is people don't expect you to be in that space, especially when you're the leader.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, now I've been at this restaurant for 3 years. So there aren't that many new people that walk into the space, but initially it was a struggle. People would still be like, "Can I speak to the chef?" Like, why would you not assume it's me?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, why
Mm-hmm.
is it so hard to wrap our brains around the fact that a woman of color
Mm-hmm.
could be the person leading this entire thing?
Yeah.
Um, there's not that many of us. It's 6%. Um, Statistically, there's only 6% women of color that
Mm-hmm.
are in leadership positions in the industry, which is pretty isolating. So that's also another challenge
Mm-hmm.
because it's different for me to speak with. I have great mentors who are men
Yeah.
and some even men of color,
Mm-hmm.
but it's so specific. The challenges that I face is so specific.
Mm-hmm. Uh-oh.
Experience,
It cut off. You said this.
because you wouldn't understand.
Yeah, it cut off a little bit. You said that the challenges that you face is so specific.
It's so specific to being a woman
Mhm.
that's like there's very few people that I can
Yeah.
talk to.
Yeah.
So that's a challenge. But the joy now is that, I mean, just opening this restaurant has come with so much recognition. It's we've been open just over 2 years, and we have two James Beard nominations under our belts. Like,
Yeah.
just so many awards, and I'm like, this is why you should give women of color a chance.
Yes.
Like, we will actually do
Okay.
something with it.
Yes.
It's not just, yeah, a certain type
Mhm.
of people that should be in the kitchens.
Absolutely not. I love
Yeah.
that. And what does the family say? What does your mom say now about the hobby that
I
has
g- it did take her a while to
Yeah.
hop on board, um because she has no context, right? My
Mhm.
mom, she just does not have the context.
Totally.
She got married when she was 16, and she started having kids when she was 17. So
Mhm.
like, she doesn't even speak English.
Mhm.
So for her, to be like, my kids are going to go to America and they're going to be doctors, that's something that she can understand.
Right.
But for me to leave Ethiopia to work in the
To
kitchen,
come, yeah.
that's a huge disconnect for her.
Mhm.
So even when I got accepted into culinary school, and I told her, Mom, like, this is considered the Harvard of culinary schools, she was like,
Yeah.
it was just not, it
Yeah.
was just like, there was no context for her. So it
Totally.
wasn't that impressive. My first job being at Noma, trying to explain best restaurant in the world 4 years in a row, still no context. She's
Yeah.
like, I mean, okay, but you're still working in a kitchen, right?
Yes.
Am I to understand? You're a cook.
Cook.
You work in the kitchen. And I would always hear her talking so proudly about
Mm.
my siblings, like, yeah, like doctor. And people would ask about me, and she'd be like, she works in the kitchen. But finally, when it started to resonate, was she loves Food Network. She loves watching
Yes.
Food Network. And the first time she saw me, she was like, "Okay, I gotta call all my friends. That's my daughter.
I
That's my
love
daughter. My
that.
daughter's on TV." You know?
And I'm sure that was
Yeah.
a
Now it's
special
like,
moment for you.
oh my god. Now it's always like she'll call me. She'll be like, "When? I haven't seen new episodes. Like, when's the next episode coming?" I'm like, "Wow, okay. Well, you gotta chill. You gotta chill."
Yeah, I love that. Like, talk a little bit also about that, about, TV work as a chef.
Yeah, that was wild. I mean, it honestly was not something that was on my radar. Like, I didn't
Mhm.
move to America to become a
Yeah.
star. Like, I never had dreams of being a celebrity or anything. I just
Mhm.
wanted to cook.
Yeah.
That was my thing. And then in 2022, I believe it was, Chef Marcus invited me to cook at the Met Gala.
Mhm.
And for me, when you're invited to cook at the Met Gala, I'm thinking, cool, we're gonna be in the back cooking.
Yeah.
And 3 weeks before the event, they reached out to me and asked me what I was wearing, and I'm like, my
My
chef
chef
coat.
coat.
What else would I wear? And I found out uh, that we were not going to be in the kitchen at all because we had already submitted our menu
Mm.
along with our recipes.
Mhm.
So we were actually attending as guests, and we were walking that red carpet.
Mhm. And you
So that was
walked it,
my
girl.
first public
Yes.
appearance ever, my first red carpet event ever, and it was the Met Gala.
Yeah.
So I had to come
It's
correct,
amazing.
obviously.
Yes.
And I came with my ancestors. Like Mary J.
Mhm.
Blige was asking me about my headpiece. She's like, "What is
Nice.
that?" And I'm like, "My ancestors." Like that's
I'm getting goosebumps.
like it was just such a
Yeah.
monumental moment in my career. And from
Mhm.
there, that's when I started getting calls from Food Network.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Why are you not on TV?" I'm like, "Why would I be on TV? I'm a chef. I'm a restaurant chef. I cook. Why
Yeah.
would I be on TV?" So yeah, they just started putting me in the shows.
I love it. And by the way, the first time I met you was on a
Yes,
show.
it was. I remember.
Yes, beat Bobby Flay and
Yeah,
spoiler
you
alert, I
killed it.
won. It's like,
You
I
killed
love
it.
it. But so you've been more of like a guest and a judge.
Yeah,
Have you been on like the competitor side? Uh,
I'm not.
Not
I
okay.
always say, and like they always ask me
Yeah.
too, and I just don't think my brain works that way
Really?
because yeah, people don't understand. Like you could be a really good cook
Yeah,
and not be a good competitor.
for sure. For
That's a
sure.
different skill
It
set.
is. Yeah.
Obviously, I can cook.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
I produce seasonal menus at the restaurant, but competition cooking is a different skill set. Like
Yeah.
if you put like three ingredients in front of me and give me 30 seconds to formulate a dish, I'm like, that's not how my brain works.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ugh.
So like kudos to you, man. Like
Thanks.
I
I actually love it. I'm like, can this be a sport? Can I just like be on like
that
the NBA for chefs? Because
oh my
I love that pressure and I love,
have you
the
always
random.
like did you know
No,
that you're gonna enjoy it or
no, I really didn't. I didn't. I just kind of like I did Master Chef and that was
yeah,
kind of like crazy. That wasn't a very like in your face like here this is what you're going to do. It was more like
yeah,
planned out of what I was
yeah.
cooking, but it was I think Cutthroat Kitchen where it was like and I froze on that one. I did not it was not successful. So it was definitely
See?
I had to like build that skill, but like now it's like
Yeah,
really just addictive, Like I just
yeah.
I guess I'm a competitor. So yeah.
You might there's gotta be something because I'm like I'm sure I would freeze. And like I said, I've never
Yeah.
experienced it because I haven't competed in anything.
Mhm. Mhm.
But just because I've judged so much,
Yeah.
and I'm just like,
Yeah.
I, I'm glad I'm on this side
I
because I don't
know,
know
right?
what you would do with those crazy ingredients. Like,
Well, honestly, I don't know if I could be a judge because I don't know if I can eat some of the food that comes out, honestly. Like, so
no, obviously you have to be, no, there's definitely, because you know how it works. You
I
can't really
know.
say
Yeah,
everything
for
that you're
sure.
thinking. Like,
For
even if they
sure.
serve you inedible food,
Yeah.
you got to dig deep,
Yep.
sis. Got to come up with something good to say.
See that I'm very particular about like who cooks for me and how. So I don't know
Yeah.
if I could be on that side.
Yeah. No, it's funny because my friends joke around that my face has subtitles.
Do-
And I'm like, I can control my words,
but
but
not the
like,
face.
if I make a face,
Yeah,
my bad.
that
Make sure you
part
edit
too.
it.
Yeah, exactly. I
Yeah.
wanted to talk to you about because obviously again I follow your Instagram, maybe
Mm.
stalk a little bit.
You're
I
so
just love
silly. I follow
it.
you too.
And I see you're just go go go, like super
Yeah.
ambitious, doing everything. But I feel like maybe more of recent, or maybe I'm just like paying attention more recently
Mhm.
about you really taking care of yourself and wellness. And like, I think that is so important, especially in this industry,
Yeah.
especially when, I don't know, we just have like this need to kind of like do it all and say yes to everything and really
Yeah.
like be, working as much as possible. I
Yeah.
think that, paying attention now to kind of like health and wellness and kind of
Yeah.
self-care is so
Yeah.
important. Can you speak? I see your cold plunges and all
Yes.
that. So speak to me about like the importance of
You,
that.
oh my God, you want to talk about, you said like competing, you're like
Yeah.
addicted because it's so like thrilling. That's my
Hmm.
cold plunge.
Yeah.
People are like, how are you
Oh,
doing 15 minutes in a cold plunge? I'm like, because it
girl.
feels really good. like, like every inch of your body is like, this is not good. Like, we should probably leave this environment. And I'm like, no, we got this.
Yeah.
Mind over matter, baby. Mind over
Mm,
matter.
yes.
Um, but no, it's not even because you're like paying more attention to it now. It
Hmm.
is a new thing for me.
Mm,
Like
okay.
I've always had a healthy lifestyle.
Hmm.
Mostly driven by my faith. I'm Muslim,
Hmm.
and so like by default we already like don't drink. Which that
Well,
already
I was gonna
comes
say we
with
gotta
its own.
bookmark that because coming back to that with the restaurant
Yeah,
industry, I would love to know about that.
yeah, for sure. But like, so no alcohol for me. Like naturally, like I'm very sensitive to caffeine, so like I don't wake up and crave coffee or anything. I've always enjoyed eating foods that are on the healthier side. Like I
Hmm.
don't crave chips and candy. Like since I was a
Hmm.
kid, it's just never been things that I enjoy. So just naturally, I'm predisposed to liking things that are healthy for you.
Hmm.
And I've tried to maintain like an active lifestyle. I've been practicing yoga for 20 years now, pretty
Wow.
much since I moved to America.
Hmm.
But once I became a chef and especially started leading kitchens, all of that just kind of started taking
Hmm.
like, even though it was always on the forefront of my mind, there was just no time to do any of these things.
Hmm.
So my yoga practice just went out the window. We're on our feet 16 hours a day, and in those 16 hours, maybe you might have 5 minutes to quickly eat
Hmm.
something. And that 5 minutes that you have, it's not going to be, well, let me make, what does my body need? What is like
Right.
nutritious? No, it's like
Hmm.
whatever thing you can grab. And when your body is like in a deficit like that, it needs energy. And when you need energy, your body's going to crave like sugar and
Hmm.
like complex carbs and all that kind of stuff. So it would be one meal, literally just eating over the trash can, just like things that your body doesn't necessarily like, it needs it, but it's like it's
Hmm.
not going to be the most beneficial in the long form. It's just going to benefit you in this short period of time because your body needs this fuel to get through the next 8-hour shift.
Yeah.
But um late last year in November, I started working with a coach, and it was mostly because my body was starting to slow me down.
Mm.
Like by itself, I was starting to get back pain,
Hmm.
knees, just like everything, just like wear and tear of having worked on my feet for the last 13 years. And I said, I'm just going to stop, like, because if I'm no good in the kitchen, like
Hmm.
all of this all of this stops.
Hmm.
So it was a conscious decision on my part. Like, you have to make time, no
Yeah.
matter what is going on in the kitchen, no matter what major emergency is going on, they will be fine for 1 hour.
Hmm.
So it's dedicating that 1 hour. I mean, my workouts are really 90 minutes. So
Oh.
I
Hmm.
take about 2 hours to myself.
There you go.
Um, but prioritizing that, and just like now working out 5 days a week, doing my cold plunges, the conversion therapy, I feel so much better in my body,
Hmm.
and I have so much energy. I sleep better, and that just makes you show up even better for your team.
Yeah. Hmm. so
Yeah.
important. It's so important. I definitely
Yeah.
try to tell, young cooks, coming out of culinary school or just starting out, like,
Yeah.
you have to, like, don't just invest your whole self. Like,
Yeah.
invest in yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you have
Yeah.
to,
No,
like, pour
exactly. Yeah.
back into yourself. Don't just give yourself, because
Yeah.
it will come back. It will come back.
Trust me, the body keeps score, right?
Exactly.
That's the body
Exactly.
keeps score.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're the second guest who's mentioned that. So it's really, really important.
Yeah. It is.
I would also love to know a little bit more about the nonprofit that you, like, sounds like you co-founded or partnered with
Okay.
some friends,
Yeah.
Take Care of Home.
Yes. Take care of home. So one of my best friends, um, he hadn't been back to Ethiopia. I think it was like 20 years at the time.
Mm,
So this was like back in '07, and he had just gotten back from a trip of after having been gone for so
mhm,
long. Um, and he was particularly invested in like helping the elementary school that he went to,
mhm.
because it was just in rough shape, and he was so sad when he went to visit them again. He was like, the conditions that these kids are learning in, it's probably not even safe.
Wow.
And we were just catching up and debriefing, and it kind of started that way, where he was like, I wonder how much it would cost to,
Mm,
help, like maybe put in a library or put in a bathroom, none of these things that they had.
mhm.
And so this was like way back then. And he said a number, and I'm like, dude, we could easily raise that.
Mhm.
Um, and like I was one of the first ones, whatever my tax return that year, I was like, here, I don't even need this. Just like,
Mhm.
like take it. And he was like, wait, if you're willing to, donate X amount just from, hearing this story, I wonder, like, if I keep telling the story, would other
Yeah.
people donate? So
Mm,
that's how it started.
mhm.
Um, and yeah, so in the last 7 years, we've built 9 schools.
Wow.
And in the process, you find out more issues.
Mhm.
So the first couple of schools that we built, we realized that most of the student profile were boys,
Mhm.
not that many girls were attending. And we're like,
Oh.
well, why is that? Because most of these schools are in rural parts of Ethiopia.
Mhm.
And we learned that the task, or the role of little girls in Ethiopia, in the rural parts of Ethiopia, was to go and source water, because
Mm.
they don't have water directly. They don't have access to water in their homes. So sometimes this would be a very arduous thing. Like they would have to walk 2-3 hours
Mm.
to find the source, and that was their main job.
Mhm.
So from there, we're like, well, if we made sure that we install water in these homes, would that free up the girls to go to school? So then we created a second prong to the nonprofit,
Mhm.
um, and we started giving or building water pipelines directly into homes. And sure
Wow.
enough, girls started
Nice.
coming
Ugh,
to school.
that's amazing.
Yeah,
That's so awesome. I love it
yeah,
so much. Ugh, it's been
yeah.
so great to get to know you a little bit more and all the amazing work that you've been doing. I can't wait
Sure.
to continue to follow you and your journey, because I know this is,
Listen, maybe I'll see you again next time on some
yes.
food show.
Bring that,
I
put that,
won't be
manifest that.
competing. I will not be competing, but maybe you'll be in the judges chair with me. How about that?
Ooh, okay.
There you
Maybe.
go.
I'll work on my face.
The face.
The
Yeah,
face.
yeah, yeah.
Please let our listeners know, like, how they can
Yes.
continue to follow you and your journey. Like, where can they find
Yes.
you?
I mean, if you're in New York City, or if you're visiting New York City, I pretty much live at my restaurant. It's called Have and Mar in Chelsea. Or, if you're tuning into the Chopped or Beat Bobby Flay or anything that Chef Emmy said, you'll more likely see my face on there. If not, my Instagram is at Fariyal Abdul. Um, and yeah, I try to, give a lot of backstory, or like the what do you call it, BTS of the restaurant kitchen life.
Yes, and it's so fun not having, like, my own kitchen anymore. I love like just seeing, especially
Yeah.
like the camaraderie of like the team. I
Yeah.
really miss that, having worked as like a private
Yeah.
chef and kind of just doing more solo work. I really miss like a
Yeah.
solid team in the kitchen. It's really fun. So I
Well,
love.
you're always welcome in my
Ooh,
kitchen.
okay. Listen,
So pull
I take
up.
that seriously. I will be emailing you now.
Listen, we should do. So I do a series called Fariyal and Friends, where I just invite my friends to come and do a little a la carte menu, do just like a pop up. So
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
you should come and do a
I'm
Fariyal
so
and
down.
Friends.
Yes. My brother
Yes.
lives in New York now, so 2 birds, 1 stone. I'm there.
What? Okay, done. So yeah, there you go.
Thank you so much, Chef. I know you are super busy, so I really appreciate you
You're
taking
so
the
sweet.
time and talking
Of
to us.
course. Yeah.
Thank you all for tuning in again to Dishin Up Diaspora. I hope to see you next week, same place, same time, and don't forget to subscribe wherever you're listening to.